everyone, welcome back to the Goddess Enchantments channel. I am Claire and today we're going to be doing a review and walkthrough of the Goddess Power Oracle by Colette Baron-Reid. Now, I thought about getting this deck start of the year when it went on pre-order on Amazon because I thought, wow, it looks stunning. I didn't, however, because I didn't know if I was going to like the art. It's a very different art style than the type of cards I usually like. So a little bit later on, Colette's team reached out to me and asked if they could send me a deck for review. I've turned down reviews in the past because some people, when they want to send you things, have terms and conditions and stuff like that, and I'm not into any of that. I'm going to say it how it is. Integrity is all that you have in life. So when they didn't present any of that, I said absolutely yes, please send it over, which they did. And in the meantime, I actually got to sneak a look at a friend's deck as well. So I kind of knew what was coming in the post and I'd seen the deck itself. So this is how it comes. This here is a sleeve. This is a cutout. That's the box underneath. It's really beautiful at the side. So if you display your decks when they're not in use, or you keep the boxes out even when they are in use as a display piece because you're a collector, this looks really nice on a shelf because it's like the edge of a book. Here is the back with a little bit of bump and a little bit of imagery from the cards. So it's a really nice presentation. So then we take off the sleeve, and that's your sleeve, which if you're a collector, you'll be keeping. If you're not, you might want to get rid of that because it is a pain to get back on and off. It's quite a snug fit. And then you have this beautiful box underneath. So you can see the imagery there. You still have the lovely presentation down the side looking like a book. You have the triple moon and the tree of life on the back. And it is a magnetic box. So when you open it, it looks like you're opening a book. It's really beautiful. And you have your little ribbon here, which you can use to help you get the book out. So this is what the book looks like so. Again, everything is really nice put together. And then in your base down here, you have an actual hard box. Now, I really like this. How many times have you opened up a tarot deck or an oracle card deck that has presentation like this, and all they've done is stuck the loose cards in there? And I just think that's a bit ugly and lazy. So you can use your ribbon again to pull out this, and it is a full hard box for you to keep your cards in. And even in the little box itself, there is a ribbon to help you take the cards out. So the presentation of this deck to start off with is just gorgeous. You're going to have an experience when you get the deck. So let's put this box aside over there and get into the deck and the book. So the deck is 52 cards. Like I say, we will do a walkthrough now. Now, look at the detail even in the bottom of the box here, and there's your little ribbon. So one thing I will say, and the reason I didn't initially purchase this deck, is because the artwork on it is a mix of photography, so like real people with digital art, and that's not normally something I go for. And I do have a lot of goddess decks. I've reviewed a couple here on the channel for you all. So I was like, do I need this deck? Well, it turns out, yes, I do need this deck. Let me make sure my hair's not on my mic. So let's have a little walkthrough. I have put them all in order so we can go through them. Now you have the goddess's name. This is a complete goddess deck, 52 cards. The goddess's name and then a word that describes the energy of that card. So let's go through those now. Now, one thing you're already seeing, so we're into card 2. This is not a deck that lacks diversity, which is a problem in a lot of decks. You have got people of different ethnicities, different colours, all the way through. Look at Artemis there, focused, got a beautiful arrow. They've done really nice digital artwork around the edge. How beautiful is Athena? The cards are numbered, so you can easily look them up in the book as you go along. That's obviously the card from the front of the box, which is Ceridwen. It's Danu. Now, what you're probably going to notice as we go through, there's Demeter. There are goddesses in here that you may not have heard of. Yes, there are the ones you would expect. You've got Bridget in here. You have Ceridwen in here. Look, here's Epona. How beautiful. I love this card. This is absolutely one of my favorites from the deck. But there's also goddesses that you may not have heard of and be like, okay. And it really does span across different cultures. So what she has tried to do with this deck is not have, because you know how across cultures some goddesses have different names, but they're technically the same goddess. She's tried not to do this in this deck and tried not to repeat that energy throughout. So she wanted to have full-on unique goddesses. I mean, they're just so interesting, the different depictions of them. A bit more is said about this in the book, which we will go into in a moment. Look at this one. How fabulous. This one's Ishtar, Isis, Kali. Now, there's a story about her in the book that we will get into. Beautiful Lakshmi. Mary's in there. You could argue, is she a goddess, is she not? Some people say yes, some people say no. It really depends on your background and your personal path on that one. How lovely is that? I really do think the imagery's been done really nice on these, because some kind of, when it's photography or digital, and especially if it's a mix, it can be a bit, as you know from Nyx. It's really nice to see Nyx in here. You don't see her in a lot of decks at all. So we really are spanning different cultures here. Now we're going to talk about that in a moment. It's actually a positive thing. I have not used these enough yet to really loosen them up. And there's your last card. So let's talk about the cardstock. It is really good. This cardstock is really firm. There's a little bit of bend to it, but it is card. This is not glorified paper or anything like that. You can probably hear it if I put it next to my mic. It is proper card. They are a little bit sticky together when you first get them, so you do have to, like, I can shuffle them up a bit now, show you them, but you really want to get into shuffling them, and that will just loosen the card up a little bit. With these decks where they use really good cardstock, They do tend to take a little bit of loosening up. This is the back of the cards, which I really like because it's nice and simple. So onto your book. So this is your book. Then in the front here, you've obviously got your numbers, which equates to the goddess, and the page in the book that you can find her. So if you are drawing cards, you can be like, okay, look up number 13 and you know exactly where to go. In here you have an entire section about the creation of this deck, and why she created this deck. She had not been drawn to do a goddess deck like this before, and how it came to take form. There's also a lovely story included in here, because obviously she channels all of her decks, about how originally Carly was not going to be in here, because like I said to you before, she was trying not to cross goddesses where there might be another goddess that has the same energies but just is worked within a different culture under a different name, and Carly was not going to be in there. But Carly came forth to her and was, I need to be in that deck, and I want to look like this, and I don't want to have all the arms and the tongue, and I want to be represented differently. So you've got a nice little bit of reading at the front. She also gives you some information about the upside down messages in the book here, and how superstition through traditional tarot in the olden days would often negate that if the card came out upside down, it puts a negative spin on that message. Now, the way that she names her messages are, you have the empowerment message. Now, this is if your card comes up right way round, and then over the other side you have the alignment message, and that is if your card comes out upside down. So instead of it being a positive and a negative, it's more about realigning your energy and giving you advice on how to do that and what could be the problem, depending on what card you've picked and what your question may be. So it is illustrated, it's not illustrated in colour, but you have a full black and white, and then you have the two messages. So that's really nice. You do have some basic instructions on shuffling, how to ask a question, and a couple of spreads at the front. And then at the back you have information on some books she recommends if you'd like to learn more about goddesses, and also her own books and card sets that are the ones that she has done. I actually do have one of her others, which is the animal one, which I will also do a review for you. So this deck, I have found I really love it. I love the fact that it is very different than my other Goddess Oracle decks. Now, mostly when you buy a Goddess Oracle, they do keep to the goddesses that we're all very, very familiar with, that are the popular ones currently, culturally, that are the ones that if you go into a pagan store, or you're in a pagan store on the internet, they're the names you're going to be used to seeing. You're going to be used to seeing Bridget, you're going to be used to seeing Artemis and Athena and Aphrodite, and you have that energy in here. But she's also gone out into cultures where, I mean, some of these goddesses I had not heard of, and I do a lot of research on goddesses. Where's that particular one that I found really interesting? I don't know if I'll be able to find the card now. But there is a lot of different cultures and goddesses in here. For example, this goddess. Now, you may not have heard of her before. So what this deck does is encourages you to research. Now, who would I say this deck is for? Would I say it's for beginners? Yes and no, really depending on what you want your experience of reading to be. Now, if you're coming to this oracle deck and you're like, okay, I want a goddess oracle, it's like I say, it's got beautiful illustrations, it's beautifully presented, the cardstock's excellent, it has a really good book, and you want to take some initiative to learn yourself to get a deeper knowledge of the cards and the goddesses within it, then absolutely this could be a first deck for you. But if you're someone that is just coming into your path, just starting to work with goddesses, and you want your deck to actually teach you about those goddesses, then this would not be an ideal first deck, simply because the meanings in the book do not actually give you a real description of the goddess and the culture that she's from. For example, the Goddess Oracle, which I've also reviewed here on my channel, gives you a whole little paragraph about that goddess, what their energy is, what is their actual story, what culture they're from. You won't find this in the book. And I do feel to be able to read them in a much more in-depth way, then I would encourage you to learn about the goddesses so you can understand the messages on a deeper level. So it's really up to you how you feel about that. If you are already well into Oracle, if you already are on your goddess path, this is a really nice deck for you. So let's take an example. Let's just have a flick through so I can give you an example of a message. So actually we've come back to Green Tara. Now her word on her card is salvation, and her empowerment message says the divine has intended you into being and given you the assignment to explore life through certain perceived limitations. You are meant to learn about life and all its complexities, especially learning about how to be in community with others. Green Tara, a Tibetan goddess, also known as She Who Saves, says that you will never be alone in life's journey. This compassionate savior goddess of intimate friendship will ensure that the right people will show up for you at the right time. Green Tara reminds you that your needs will always be met. You don't need to know the how, as that is her domain. You just need to trust, and the goddess Green Tara will use her magic on your behalf. You are safe and secure and always in care of the divine. So you see, it's giving you the message that was channeled for Green Tara for this card, but there's no actual real history there or anything like that. So that's something, if you don't know about Green Tara, if you look into it, it will allow you to take your reading to an even deeper level. Then the alignment message, and this would be if your card came out upside down, and she actually recommends certain ways of shuffling and stuff to ensure some of your cards do go upside down. I personally don't do that with my decks, and some of them end up upside down anyway, so that's really personal choice. But if you had drawn this card upside down, your message would be, Green Tara, known as She Who Saves, is here to remind you that salvation is contingent on your willingness to release your ego conflicts and surrender your wants and unmet desires to the divine. Do you find yourself swimming in a nagging spiral of dissatisfaction? Are you comparing yourself to others and always coming up short? Do you feel entitled to the manifestation of your wants arriving in the only form that you will accept? When you are suffering from longing and wanting, you are likely a hungry ghost that will never be fed, blind to the opportunities that are truly yours. Never fear, just as a true friend will let you know when you're off track, Green Tara will let you know when you're out of alignment. She will save you from the destructive qualities of hubris, entitlement, and elitism. Lost my place from over there. As well as the consciousness of lack with the following alignment task. Now this is where you get your task, because like I said to you, if your card comes out upside down, then that is, in this deck, all about getting you back into alignment, and the meanings help you with that in the book. So where are we? Where is my task? I have now lost it. I truly have lost it now. Ah, here we are. Get right with yourself and the world again. First, know that you are exactly where you need to be right now, and if that means empty for a time, that is perfect. Instead of looking at what isn't there, bless every tiny aspect of your life with deep gratitude. Green Tara will show you that the world is your friend. You've only been fighting against yourself. You will then recognize the earth as a place of joy and abundance. So you're being encouraged to take up a practice of gratitude, which if you're on a magical path should be part of your magics anyway, as that's part of the cycle of abundance. So that's basically, they're all set out exactly the same with the 2 messages, and each one has a way of telling you your alignment task at the end. So that's really this deck. I really have enjoyed working with it. I've enjoyed looking up some goddesses that I've either never heard of before or I only know a little bit about. And I look forward going forward to learning even more, because while you have everything you need here with your book and your deck to give yourself a really great reading, or if you work with clients, then you may want to obviously go a little bit further into what I was saying so you can read more effectively. But if you're reading at home, you have everything here that you need, but it also then presents you with opportunities to learn if you want. Now, if you are an intuitive reader, then the imagery of these cards without the words, if you're new to intuitive reading, could be a little difficult. But again, if you learn, oh sorry, I knocked the thing. If you learn your goddesses, then you're going to find that this deck, you can set the book aside more often and go into a lot more depth with it. I've also used these cards as meditation cards as well to work with the individual goddesses, so you can do that. And you can pop them on your altar as altar cards if you decide to actually work ritually, if that's something you're interested in with these particular goddesses too. So I have really enjoyed them. Like I say, it's still not my favorite, for my personal opinion, still not my favorite type of art when it is people. But in this deck, it is probably the best done that I have seen, because it has been almost like, you know how it's kind of, they're bright, but they're almost a bit, oh, I've took us out of focus, I apologize, a bit watercolory. So that's like the color, but they have that kind of more watery, softer feel for them. And for me, when it comes to any kind of real people and digital type art, the edges can be quite harsh, and I don't like that energy for reading with. But these are all really soft. Even the stronger ones, like this beautiful Hecate, where obviously Hecate herself is coming through very strong, the edges have been softened. So you absolutely can read intuitively with them. You absolutely can meditate and journey with them and really enhance your whole practice using this deck if you choose to. And like I say, the book's really simple to look things up, because everything has a number and a page number for you to look into. And you have the story of the deck in the front, which I really like, because she does go into detail, and there is reasons why the deck is the way it is, and reasons why these goddesses are in there, and why Kali looks the way she does. This is not someone who has just thrown together a deck. They have put time and care into it, which I appreciate, especially going forward. The market is saturated with decks. Everyone and their mother is coming out with a deck currently, and some people have multiple decks and churn them out. And the quality of the card stock, the quality of the packaging, the quality of actually going in deeper and having a deck that has been channeled or has been artistically put into, it's kind of getting a bit bogged down in some places. So this was quite refreshing for me. And I especially like the fact that I was so surprised, because I was ready to like kind of the idea of the deck, but not necessarily connect with the art of the deck. So for me, that was a real surprise. And the fact that this is now actually my Goddess deck that's out and that I'm working with, because you know how much I love the Goddess Oracle, is really saying something. So you can get this deck on like Amazon, you can get it from Waterstones, tons of places online. You can look it up. And I really hope that this review and walkthrough has been helpful to you. And like I say, I do have one of her other decks, which is what is it? Spirit of Animals, something like that. And I actually got that to do work for a class that I'm teaching about spirit animals, and I wanted a deck that, well, they're not gonna, I can't spoil the surprise because a lot of the people in my Facebook group will end up watching this, but there will be a surprise about that deck that's included with that. So once I've done that, I will bring you the review of that deck as well. If you have any requests, feel free to pop them down below. If you've enjoyed this video or you like any of my crystal videos, please do subscribe, give the video a thumbs up. It really helps me out. And I will be back with another video soon. If you'd like to see more of me, do come over and join my Facebook group. I'm in there every week with at least one live. We have a mini crystal event happening this weekend on Saturday and a release of new tools, and that all takes place in the group. So that link will be down below. The website link will be down below. Everything you need. But have a wonderful rest of your day. That's it from me. Blessed be.